everybody, I am back, and this time I am here with a review video of Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. I just recently read this and I had to sit with it for a while to let it kind of simmer in my brain because this was a bonkers book. I didn't know anything about this book except for that it was lesbian necromancers when I bought it, and I thought, hey, I don't know anything about that, so let's do it. I have never read a book about necromancy. I don't really know that much about it. I actually had to Google it, so there you go. This was an interesting book. She sets up this world of these different houses, and there are 9 of them. She is in the 9th house, Gideon is. So there's this contest between necromancers to become the emperor's favorite. They call it the Lictor, or something. I was a little unclear as to what exactly this job was, but it's essentially like the best necromancer in the galaxy because, mind you, this is all taking place in space on some planets. So it was a little bit fantasy, a little bit sci-fi, and a whole lot of weird. And so Gideon is the cavalier of the necromancer, who is essentially the swordsman or woman who is designated to protect that necromancer at all costs for the glory of the house. Gideon is the cavalier of the 9th house for the Harrowhark Nonajussimus something else. She had a very, very, very long name that was very often just shortened to Harrow, which is fine. This book was not like anything I have ever read. I did get a very great feel of the world that it was in, which is awesome because it's hard to keep reading when it's something so foreign to you if you don't have a good view of the world. So the world building was great in this book. I did still have some tweaks where I was like, I don't understand why everyone is dying. I don't understand why this and this. I feel like there's a prequel that I missed, even though this is actually the first book. There's a lot of history here in this world that the author knows that I didn't know. So I definitely had to work to keep up and keep all of the characters straight. So there are 9 houses, so there's 9 necromancers, and all 9 of them have a cavalier. So that's 18 characters plus this teacher who's kind of the referee sort of these contests or these challenges. And the challenges are very dangerous and they can kill you, and so they're trying to all get to this thing where they win the challenge. So it sounds a little bit like Survivor mixed with some courtly battles mixed with space and lesbians. So there's a lot of things going on all the time, and if you aren't paying attention, you will miss them. That was the hard part about this book, but it just took me a little longer to get through it, that's all. But it definitely was, it became, when people start dying, it becomes kind of like a murder mystery, but it's also this almost game show. It's obviously, there's not a studio audience or anything, but it's a challenge, it's a contest. So they have this murder mystery plus a contest to win. And all throughout that, you have Gideon and her necromancer, Harrow, who kind of hate each other. So there's friction between them. So there's a lot of different levels to this story that all kind of come back and tie together at the end. It's worth it. It's worth the work of getting through this book. I thought it had a great ending that I didn't know was going to happen, and when it did, I was like, oh yes, of course, that's exactly how it has to end. So that's kind of satisfying, and there are a lot of great twists and turns that I did not see coming. I didn't have any guesses as to what was going to go on, so this book was a great story structure and plotting and all of that. If there's one complaint that I have, I did give this 4 stars on Goodreads, but that fifth star was really a tone issue. There's a lot of points where the book just kind of comes out of its tone and does something like modern, like we would do or say today, which really kind of ripped me out. And then I had to dive back in. So when you're talking about Harrow Hark Nonagesimus, the something of the House of the Ninth, and her Cavalier of the blah 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 gobbledygook thing, because they all have these super long names that are very official and very kind of royal sounding and very courtly and very stringent in the rules. And then she'll say something like, let's bounce. What? Like, why did you suddenly start talking like that when earlier, just a minute ago, it was very, very different? So there were some points in the book where they say this kind of slangy stuff that didn't quite fit in the regular tone of the book, so that I could have done without. But it wasn't terrible, it just didn't fit, that's all. So anyway, there's another book coming out, the second in this series, which is going to be called Harrow the Ninth, and it comes out this year sometime, so I will be picking that up. And this is Gideon the Ninth. Go check it out.